Hello everyone, my name is Lynette and welcome to my garden. We are in Zone 5, Blossvale, New York, and we are going to take advantage of a beautiful day today. We're supposed to be about 44 degrees and I still have a lot of yard work to do, leaves and such, but today is really going to be about decorating and putting up Christmas lights because there's nothing worse than putting up Christmas lights when they're stiff and tangled. So this warm, sunny weather is what's going to be key to getting them up. I'll probably do leaves later today if I don't get everything done, but we're also expecting another nice day Monday, and hopefully I can get the leaves, and then that will be it for the garden for the winter. So come along, join me, and see what I'm doing to set up Christmas and any other things that I need to do while I'm in this area. Which brings me to my yellow smoke bush here. It is getting way too big and it interferes with the lights that are going to be seen on my spires. So I'm going to be chopping this down right to the ground and doing a severe prune on it. It will regenerate in the spring. So if you want to see what happens to that, be sure to follow along and subscribe. Yes, it's going to be a little severe, but I am just going to take this down. It's not supposed to get as tall as it has, but it's very happy here, which is a good thing. And it's a yellow smoke bush. It's only supposed to get about 5 feet tall, but it has definitely gotten taller than that. And it will regenerate. I think Santa needs to bring me some new pruners for Christmas. Boy, if I wanted this to be trained like a tree, that would be a really nice piece to leave. But I do want it round shaped. So we're going to take this down. This is one of those garden chores that I wanted to do anyway, so I'm not really sad about doing it. And it just gets it done now and gives me time to do more things next spring. All right, I'll get out here in a little bit and clean up these cuts a little bit. But for right now, I'm going to get those hauled to the compost pile and start decorating the spires. On our candy cane Christmas trees, I use two different types of lights. First, I have these tree wrap lights, which we can't find anymore. I don't think they make them. And you can see they're about 5 feet long by 18 so inches wide. It's kind of a skinny net light. And that's what's going to be wrapped all the way around the tree. I have hooked probably about 4 or 5 of these together so it goes in one solid piece. And to connect them together, I just use bread ties. Now, when I put them on the tree, I'm going to start rolling from the plug end. This is going to be at the bottom, so I want to make sure the plug doesn't get tangled up. And I'm just going to keep rolling and rolling until we get the whole thing rolled up. Make sure that plug doesn't get tangled up in there somewhere. And it just rolls and rolls and rolls. Then I have a long stick that helps you hang lights up high, and I'm going to use that to start at the top, and then as I'm going around the tree, I can just unroll this as it goes. Once these are up, I'm going to add in, this is just a single strand of just red lights, and that's going to go on the inside of the tree all the way up. Here's a little close-up view. You can see the white net lights that go around, and then on the inside you can see all the red lights. And I kind of bunch them up. I don't stretch them out so that they're skinny. I probably could use red cluster lights, and that's probably what I'll end up using in the future, but for right now, this is what I have. And I put the red lights in there rather thick so that we get a nice show of red against the white net lights. It never seems to fail that when you're in a hurry trying to get things done, that something unexpected pops up. The dogs found a chipmunk today and chased it into the bottom of our plow. There's a pipe at the bottom, and the chipmunk ran into that. Now, normally we wouldn't care because there's an opening at the other end, but it didn't appear to come out, and the dogs were digging and fussing, so we're a little bit worried that maybe it's thinking, oh, here's a nice safe place to have a little home for the winter, and being on the bottom of a plow is not the perfect thing for it. So I am going to take this big long rod, thread it through the bottom there. Hopefully if there's a chipmunk at the other end, it will come out that other end. And if there's a nest in there, this pole should help knock it out. And then I'm going to seal up the ends with just a little bit of duct tape. Once the chipmunks hibernate and we're really plowing, the duct tape isn't going to stay on and it won't need to be there. But for right now, just to keep the chipmunks out, that's the plan of attack. I am hitting a little bit of resistance in there. Quite a bit came out, and look at the acorns and all kinds of nuts in here. So I would say somebody was definitely, oh, and look, there's a whole bunch of yarn. Yep, I would say somebody was planning on spending the winter or even just using it as a storage space. So we're gonna take care of that. You still have enough time, Mr. Chipmunk, to get things cleaned up and find a new pantry. I'm surprised we didn't find sunflower seeds in there. We were feeding so many chipmunks sunflower seeds, we had to stop feeding the birds during the summer because the chipmunks were eating it all. Again, that's just to keep them out, and if it's open, we'll know that the chipmunks got back in there. Okay, we're going to add an extra layer of protection around the ends. In addition to the tape, we've got some cans we're going to slide on the end. Now, I want to be honest with you. The weatherman lied today. It's not really all that warm. I think the saving's grace was the sun was out most of the day, but there is a cool breeze coming through that is making this really chilly. It could be worse, so I'm really not complaining. Now, these are new lights for us this year, and I'm not 100% sure that I'm really going to like them. I'm not a big fan of LEDs. I am more of the incandescent mini lights kind of person, and if you want to see how the trees were decorated last year, there's a video on that. But last year we ended up with so much snow, and with all the lights that were on the trees, it weighed the branches down so much that it really started to do some damage, and I don't want that to happen. And the snow also damaged a lot of the lights, so what we thought we had to put on the trees, we actually don't have after all. So we decided to do something a little different and use these LEDs. Now, normally I put my lights up around Halloween when the temperature is warmer and I have a chance to change my mind or fine-tune things, because I have, 30 days to put something else on the tree. But this year, here we are, November 22nd, just putting the lights on, and I don't have the time to rethink this if these lights don't work. So we're just going to go with it this year. And I will admit, these lights are much, much easier to put on than those little mini lights. But with all the little mini lights, you can do a better job of spacing. Now you may notice that there's a gap down here for the lights, and that's because last year we had so much snow that they were just buried. So we decided this year we're not going to go all the way to the ground. Of course, that probably means we won't get a lot of snow, but according to the weatherman, which hopefully he's wrong in this forecast, that we are expecting cold and more snow than normal. So we're just going to have to trust that he knows what he's talking about. Now I'm just going through and kind of tucking the wires in a little bit. These Alberta spruce, they're really dense, and in many ways it makes it hard to put Christmas lights on them, because they really don't have branches that stick out very far that you can tuck them in and hide the wires. So I'm just going to do the best that I can. If we get the snow, you'll never see the wires anyway. And it is what it is. Got to come back and cut out all these little tags. Try and spread these lights out a little bit so they're not so much on top of each other. I'm all about doing things that are easier. The older I get, the easier I want things to be. I don't want to have to get up on ladders if I don't have to. Simpler is better. In case you're wondering what kind of lights we ended up using on these trees, it's number 848002. They're GE Energy Smart 150 LED lights. Now, something that you might not know when you look to buy lights, if you're at Lowe's, look for the ones with the green ribbon, because the green ribbon on there means that the set continues to operate even if a bulb is burned out or loose. If it has a different color ribbon, you might lose all of your lights when one bulb goes out. And the only way to find out which light bulb is out is to go through and test every single light. I can't believe they still make light strands like that. Seriously? So look for the green ribbon. Make sure you read to make sure that if one bulb is damaged or one goes out, that the whole strand still stays lit. Every year, we ask our town to drop off truckloads of leaves for us, and I spread these leaves on my garden. This year has been a little strange. First of all, the leaves didn't drop till late. Normally I would be done with the leaves right now. It's Thanksgiving week, and they should have all been put on the garden, but they just dropped these off. We're running out of daylight, we're running out of warm weather, so these leaves are not going to be spread as they normally would be on the garden. We did have rather droughty conditions this year, and we've gotten a little bit of rain, but not enough to totally saturate the soil as it should be going into the fall. So I don't want to put a heavy layer of leaves on top of the garden anyway, because when you put the heavy layer of leaves on, it's going to prevent a little moisture from getting down in there. So Mother Nature always knows best, so maybe that's why the leaves fell late and I'm not getting to it this year. However, I thought I would share with you how I put them on so you can see that I just don't throw them on wherever. So come along and we're going to put some leaves down in the garden. You probably can't see in the camera very well, but there are 4 daylilies right here. And in between the daylilies, I planted a whole bunch of tulips. Hopefully they'll come up in the spring. Now, when we put the leaves on, we want to consider a couple things. We want to allow the daylilies to come up, so we don't want to pile leaves on top of the daylilies. We also don't want to put the leaves on so thick that the tulips can't come up. Now, the thing with tulips and bulbs, they're pretty strong plants. I've seen them, being planted underneath a bale of hay, and they'll come up through a bale of hay. So still don't want to put them on super thick. I'm also not going to put them on super thick because I really want a little more moisture to get into my soil. But I'm going to avoid putting leaves over the crowns of the plant, but I'm going to spread them on here rather thickly because they're going to act as a birth control for weeds. As long as the weeds are smothered, so you put the leaves on thick enough that seeds cannot germinate and come through it, and you'd want to put them on thick enough so that if seeds fall in the leaves, they don't touch the ground where they germinate. So it's a little fine line, and you'll get the hang of it after you've done it for a couple years. But all you do is just grab a handful and just toss them. There's a daylily right here, so I'm going to kind of tuck around that. Any place I see bare soil is where I want to put these leaves because they will act as a beautiful mulch to keep the weed seeds from coming up. Now, if you have an area in your garden, like back in here where I don't have anything planted, I have put leaves on super thick in there so that they have a chance to break down over time and amend that soil so that when I am ready to plant in there, that soil is going to be just absolutely gorgeous. And I've got a little bit of phlox over here that I'm going to do the same thing, just tuck the leaves right around the phlox. But that's basically it. That's what I normally do throughout my whole garden. Some years I put the leaves on so thick that I can get away with doing it for 2 years, which is why I'm kind of glad this year I don't have 5 or 6 loads of leaves to worry about in the spring, because I did put them on super thick last year. So I think I bought myself a little extra time. But give leaves a try in your garden. They really do wonders. Well, it's getting a little too dark to do much more out here in the garden. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe. And to all of you, have a very happy Thanksgiving.